morning, hello, and welcome to Friday's edition of Wake and Bake News. And I'm your host, still soaking wet from the shower, with Tiki, who's over there. Did not want to get in the shower with me, but stood on the railing and enjoyed the steam. Anyway, just got out of the shower. This June 17th, 2016. I want to tell you a couple of things that make me happy after a shower. Because I remember Sandra saying he loved Q-tips after a shower, and I related to that. You're not supposed to put them in your ears, though. Hair tangles. Oh my gosh, it's getting to the point where it's an octopus. I need to have another mowing done. You know, it's like having a pet. When it gets so long, it starts catching under your armpits when it's wet, and you're like, I can't move my head. I think I've said this before. Time to get the thing raked and cut. Something done with it. I don't know. Rake it. Rake it. It's all yucky. I look like a drowned cat, don't I? Welcome to my morning. A couple of things I love is Q-tips and nice, warm, clean socks on my feet. Don't you love that? Unless it's the summer, I love getting out of the shower and having warm socks on my feet. A nice warm towel is nice, though sometimes air drying is, helps you. If you air dry and lotion on top of it, it helps to keep that moisture in your skin so you're not so dry all day. But sometimes you just want some nice, which I'm putting on right now, clean sockies. Oh, they feel so good. Schnucklish. Oh, I love that. My toes love that. Okay, so I got focus. I got two stories for you as soon as I get dressed here. And they're actually scoops. And they come from this guy that I follow on Twitter, Tom Engel. And I think he's the head of the safe access to marijuana, right? Bleep. Let's see if we can find this. Well, anyway, I'll just go to my post. What I did was I collected what I found of his conversations on this on Twitter into one post on my Tumblr, which kind of turned it into a story. Okay. Then I reposted that on Twitter, trying to draw attention to, ooh, look what happened here. Okay, so you know about the Orlando shooting, right? And you know about this organization, Project SAM. They've got Project SAM in Canada. They got Project SAM in the States. Whenever there's an initiative to legalize, Project SAM shows up to tell us all about why this is so bad for the children. Project SAM is run by, or started by, former, opioid addicts that seem to be focusing a lot on marijuana for some reason and not opioids, and has been known to have been backed by opioid companies such as Purdue Pharmaceuticals. And this is all part of their strategy to keep America popping pills, even though it's killing people now, like Prince and shit like that, okay? So now they're going to try to say his opioids came from the black market. Well, I'm sorry. Those pills are made in a factory somewhere. So black market or not, it's still a pill mill, just like what you got. It's just you're saying yours is somehow safer. I don't think so. Okay, so now the last big story I got from him was, I'll tell this one first. Okay, let's work this backwards. So yesterday he posted, which I was very excited about, that a Senate panel has passed some sort of budget resolution or something that basically is telling the Federal Reserve that they are not allowed to go after banks that do business with marijuana. Here we go. Senate okays. So I'll read this to you. Dry my hair. Senators okay banking access for marijuana businesses. Bill would also let D.C. legalize marijuana sales. A key congressional panel just voted to increase marijuana businesses' ability to access banks. Out of fear of violating current money laundering and drug laws, many banks are reluctant to do business with marijuana providers. As a result, most marijuana dispensaries operate on a cash-only basis, making them targets for robberies. But on Kelly, wake up. But on Thursday, the Senate Appropriations Committee approved an amendment to prevent the Treasury Department from punishing banks that open accounts for state legal marijuana businesses. The vote was 16 to 14. See below for full roll call vote. The measure is now attached to the fiscal year 2017 Financial Services and General Government Applications Act, which heads to the Senate floor. In a brief debate ahead of the vote, amendment sponsor Senator Jeff Merkley, Democrat Oregon, said that not allowing marijuana businesses to store their profits in banks is a public safety threat. It makes no sense to have bags of cash, and it's an invitation to organized crime, an invitation to theft, and an invitation to tax evasion. I think the latter is probably more what they're worried about. In 2014, the Obama administration released guidance intended to make it easier for banks to do business with cannabis sellers, but many financial industry leaders remain wary. They say that until federal law actually changes, as opposed to relying on non-binding memos that could be changed by this or future administrations, they're going to stay away. Financial service industries officials have also expressed skepticism about the protections provided by policy writers on annual appropriations bills like the one just approved by the Senate Appropriations Committee. Senate standalone bills in the Senate and House are intended to provide the permanent clarity and comfort that the banking industry says it needs. The Financial Service and General Government Applications Bill also covers funding for Washington, D.C., and has historically been used to prevent the city from spending its own money to legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana sales. However, the Senate panel's legislation contains no such prohibition, as was also the case with the version of the bill the committee approved last year. However, House passed language blocking the city from moving forward with was included in the fiscal year 2016 spending package enacted into law in December. This year, the House's version of the legislation actually broadens the scope of the ban to prevent Districts of Columbia officials from using a loophole to get around the existing rider by using funds that are unattached by the current bloc. The constricting approaches the House and Senate are taking on D.C. marijuana laws set up a potential point of contention between the two chambers as they seek to reconcile the differences between their bills into a single package to be sent to President Obama. The House Appropriations Committee didn't consider an amendment on banking access for marijuana businesses when it passed its version of the bill earlier this month, but it is expected that one will be offered when the legislation reaches the floor. A similar amendment was approved by the House in 2014 by a vote of 231 to 192. Thursday's Senate committee action is just the latest in a series of recent congressional votes in support of cannabis policy reform. Last week, by a margin of 18 to 11, the same panel approved an amendment to protect doctors who recommend medical marijuana and patients who use it in accordance with state laws. In April, the committee voted 21 to 8 to bar the Department of Justice from spending money to interfere with the implementation of state medical marijuana laws, a measure very similar to language that has been approved on the House floor and enacted into law for the past 2 fiscal years. The Justice Department spending bill is on the Senate floor this week. Also, in April, a committee approved an amendment to increase the military veterans' access to medical cannabis through the Department of Veterans Affairs by a vote of 2010. The legislation, including the veterans' provisions, was then approved by the full Senate last month, and on the same day, the House passed a similar language. Okay, so as you can see, the Senate and Google seem to be lining up with something, so don't you catch that something's in the wind? Isn't this how this goes when it's about stock prices or about some company merging with another? Other people start making moves that's like, they got some kind of a heads up about what's going on. Not that it's like insider trading or something, but anybody can like read the tea leaves, you know what I mean, in this thing. Oh, good. My thing is still running, it says. Okay, so let's jumbo while I get into this next story, which is really not a story. It's just developing. And I just hit it this morning. I thought it was important because it's about Project Sam, and fuck that. Fucking Project Sam assholes. So, you remember the shooting? Well, it turns out that some affiliate of Project Sam, because basically Project Sam is somehow made up of affiliates, right? It's like a franchise. So you have the main guys that started, but then you have local activists, and that's why they're always able to glom on to some mother or someone and go, here's a mother that's concerned about her children in her neighborhood, because it's like a little Boy Scout troop of prohibitionists that they put together. And what these little parents don't realize is that what they're actually doing is they're promoting this political point of view to help protect pharmaceutical companies from this endangering their business. You ever catch the smoke, put it back? I'm sure I've said that before. I'm still hitting on this delicious lamb spread that's been lasting me. I still got a nice little chunk in there I can enjoy later. This will last me like all day, just hitting off this. And between this and the jumbo, I can take fewer hits of weed. My weed lasts longer. I'm loving it, I'm loving it. And I lotioned up. I got all, creamy this morning all over with my cream I made. It feels good. And look, I'm not breaking out or turning green or freaking out or doing something strange. Okay. So here's the story. Project Sam has distanced itself from out-of-control Oregon affiliate over attacks on Congressman's Orlando condolences. Tom Engel added Project Sam. Okay, so this was from Tom Engel's tweet, right? Tom Engel at Cunningham. Okay, at something. Okay, so if you look up Tom, Tomangell, okay, Tom Engel, on Twitter, you can see his account of what's been going on. And I just took some screenshots and stuff and posted it up. And I'll put a link to this so you can see that. Okay, and a link to obviously his Tumblr. Kelly, remember to do that. Okay, so Tom Engel. Nope, this was an unauthorized statement from an affiliate. A statement is forthcoming. This is Project Sam talking, I guess. Worth pointing out, this is from Tom Engel. What they call completely separate affiliate uses national orgs branding and has its approval, Tom Engel added. In other words, that they use all their national trademarks and stuff. It's like if you went to a McDonald's and they were doing something wrong and the McDonald's went, no, we're not affiliated with them, but McDonald's branding is everywhere. Okay, and it says here that we did not make any such statement, completely separate affiliate, and an apology will be issued today, okay? So what did this guy say? What did this affiliate say? So I found this and I posted a screenshot of it. Nation's most prominent anti-marijuana group compares marijuana legalization to Orlando shooting. So basically, what this guy, Sam Oregon, tweeted what to a rep Blumenauer, right? The guy with the tie from Oregon that has a little bicycle. The Project Sam in Oregon tweeted to him that you cannot support one threat to public health and public safety and then condemn another. You have failed the state. In other words, he's saying that you can't condone marijuana and then condemn, this shooting, right? Or something like that. That the shooting is the same as condoning marijuana. Going around and shooting people is the same as condoning marijuana. That was the message coming out of Project Sam. They thought this was a very smart political move. And then, of course, the activists grabbed onto it immediately because it sounds fucking insane. It is not a compare and contrast situation right there. You are not shooting people with freedom. People die when you shoot them. When you legalize marijuana, people stop dying. People that were never dying from the marijuana go free, Okay, so immediately, words cannot express my sorrow. Okay, this is what Earl Blumenauer said. Words cannot express my sorrow, disgusted by this horrific act on the LGBT, excuse me for saying that wrong, community, and cowardice of those who won't pass sensible gun laws. All right, and then they come back, Project Sam comes back, because they got to open their mouth like a dummy and say, you can't support one threat to the public health and safety, and then condemn another, which is obviously acts of terrorism like this. You have failed this state. So by promoting legalization, Earl Blumenauer is in the same realm as terrorists. That's what they're saying. It's pretty intense, man. So that's my scoop from Tom Engel, and I'll leave you links to all that. And that's a developing story, and I'm sure somebody's going to write that up. And hopefully by Monday, I'll be able to read some of that to you, and we'll check it out. But that was pretty good. Those two things alone, those are like two scoops right there. Who's going to tell you that a Senate committee just said, yeah, we're going to give you access? Not only that, but we're going to make it okay for DC. And it's got to go to the full Senate. Well, the thing about like what he said with the Senate committee is, so what's changed between now and all the other times when they were fighting this thing whole hog? It's like people know things. Or because the money walked in the room like Google or something like that, and suddenly everybody's taking the shit all super fucking serious and everything. So it's hard to tell what's happening here. It's hard to tell what's happening here. I'm going to twax this bowl I'm loading here. But things are in flux, as in the card game. You could continue to build your keepers and move towards a win. You could luck out and just happen to fall into the winning position, or you could work real hard and lose everything. Seems like it's just like that game Flux, so you have to be on your toes, and luck certainly seems to be part of the game, doesn't it? All right, I twaxed a little on this bowl for us here to end my show. So I wanted to talk about something for video makers of the WeedTube variety and everybody else that might be watching. Okay, so I noticed something about, there's something developing. There's a style, there's a thing developing that I see happening. Okay, and I first noticed it with Barbecue Pit Boys. Barbecue Pit Boys is this program that I watch because I was once a major red meat eater, and I just refuse to do that to myself anymore. It looks wonderful. No. Yeah. we're gonna just stick with the, trying to get as vegan as we can possibly tolerate, and chicken and turkey and stuff like that, and tofu, and we're just gonna have meat and pork on occasion. But it gets shoved in our face, it's hard for us to resist. And we love to watch, the meat porn and the cooking porn that's on the internet. He loves Damon Drop and stuff like that. Okay, but watching the show, here's what I noticed. The thing that they used to do in old ads with hand models and feet model, how does an actor or actress emote emotion when all you could see is their hands, right? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do an impression, so bear with me. Barbecue Pit Boys, excuse my stomach, stand up and they go, oh, look at that meat. Oh. How do you emote with your hands? I'm sad. I'm happy. Oh, yay! Yeah. Okay, so, I've always said that the thing I hate about advertising is you could sell people fucking shit. You just got to do that. Oh. You know what I mean? It's the presentation. Half the thing is presentation and the story behind it. This comes from the ancient tomb of a dead, king in the Aztec forest or whatever, People love. Now you're thinking, is it really? No! So, Barbecue Pit Boys does this thing where they, when they're talking about the meat, oh, you don't mind if this is called, the privilege of the guy who's on actually here and gets to eat the meat. Oh, yeah. So, it's almost like a mime. It's almost like a mime would do. The guys that would pretend to be in the box. They're using their hands to get you to believe something. It's fascinating. So then I saw this other trend happening on YouTube, and that is the guy that lives over in Australia, the primitive skills guy, right? Can't remember his name, but he's wonderful. And he's been doing things like building a hut and making an axe out of a stone and some wood, and basically going out there and practicing primitive skills just for shits and giggles. Like he's probably works in construction, and this is just him pretending, playing in the mud. It's playing in the mud. It's like when you're a kid playing mud, but it's cool mud patties because he made a whole hut. He made a fireplace. He made a garden. He was growing sweet potatoes. He had a food source. He made fencing to protect his food from predators, and he did this all in silence, which I thought was really attractive. In a world filled with this going on, to have somebody just do something and you watch is so meditative in a really interesting way. So then I saw just this morning another dude that I follow who's in the bushcraft community. Pardon me while I go find his actual video I watched. He's over in the Netherlands, right? No. I watched a lot of stuff this morning. Here we go. Pinewood CH, right? Pinewood CH is like one of these dudes that's off in the fucking like Hungarian forest or the Switzerland. I don't know where the guy is. But, he's like in the real place where you could run around and be primitive and it would play out. It actually looks like it. Okay, some places people, poor guys like in England and stuff, are hiking in a park because there are no more forests and shit. Indiana, part of the Midwest or the back east is like this, where there used to be a whole Limberlost and now there's just patches of woods because they cut all that shit down. So this morning I'm watching his video and he's reviewing this sketchy axe tool thing. It's called a clax. It's supposed to be where you take the single tool into the woods. It's a big piece of steel and you're going to be able to lash it to a piece of wood and it's an axe, or it's a hand tool like a knife. It's got a plot, like a different wrench sizes. Like you're going to wrench something. I'm going to wrench a squirrel. What are you going to wrench in the woods? All right. Okay. But one of the things I didn't notice about it when he first started fucking with it was, and I'm just going to say this as a side note, was it had these ridiculous clamps, and he's supposed to split a piece of wood, clean piece of wood off, right, for the handle with this thing, which looked like this thing's way too close to his fucking fingers. An injury in the woods could lead to serious problems. It's not like here where you just, antibiotics, It could get really serious, even just in a normal camping situation. So he's there cleaning this thing off, and this is a side note, like I said, and he's doing all this in silence, like the other video. So I'm very fascinated in his process, and I'm actually yelling at the video the whole time, dude, that is not fucking going to work. Splits this wood. He takes this metal thing, it's supposed to be an axe, sticks it here. So it's got clamps that flip sideways, and then you're supposed to wheel down these little clamps, and they're going to clamp down on the wood, and then da-da-da, you have an axe that you could swing at things. And I'm like, danger, real life. There's no way that you're going to be able to finger crank down little clamps on a piece of wood because, okay, I got a million reasons, but the main one is when you swing this thing, anything that swings in a pendulum-like way, you're increasing the weight. How do I know this? Because there was a guy who threw himself over Niagara Falls in a barrel and later off a bridge, and he wanted to do this pendulum swing with his friends, and they didn't think, at the bottom of that swing, everything at the end is 3 times heavier than what it was normally, right? Because of the nature of gravity. And he didn't compensate for that, and it was like twang, and they broke their backs, they got fucked up. I don't even know if somebody got killed. He was in trouble for that shit for a while, So how do I know about the pendulum swing creating more weight and mass in the object? Because of this guy and his idiot friend swinging off a bridge, right? So I'm watching this video, and I started to think about this. All of these things are products, like he's presenting a product to me, even the survival guy is presenting a hobby, which is a type of product. Even though it's perfectly free to go supposedly in the woods and do these things, probably not. There's probably a law against it somehow. You can't do this, You can't dig in the mud with your hands and make mud pies and turn rocks into axes. I'll bet you somebody out there saying, no, you can't, right? But he's selling you a product. And the same thing with barbecue pit boys. They're using their hands and their body language to emote to you experience and pull you into that experience. And I think also us bong tokers are doing the same thing without being completely aware that's what we're doing. You do the virtual toke. I even see Rob Chapman, who's a guy from England who sells electric guitars I followed. And you know what he does? When I saw his video this morning and he did it, and I love that new guitar he's got. I'd love to be able to afford something like that. He flicks the pick, at the camera. Tink, like you're in the audience. And he's like, ding, 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 like this. And, I caught it. Throwing somebody a kiss or something, it breaks the fourth wall. See? So we are seriously, I sense as an artist that, and I have to look at myself because I'm about to make like an argument thing. I'm about to make a conclusion thing. Okay. So I think as an artist that we are desperately seeking to pull people literally into the moment where they're in our living room, even if it is not completely real, even if it is that projection of Princess Leia from R2-D2, and she's like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. It was a 3-dimensional thing. It was a capture of a moment. The entire point of that fucking projection is that it expresses her desperate need for help and how it grabbed this kid on some fucked up farm and he went, da-da-da, I need to do this. I know an Obi. Maybe that's the same guy. Maybe she's kind of pretty. Maybe I should go find out about this shit. He didn't think any of that until he saw a holographic projection even in tiny form, even if it's in the written word. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You're trying to draw your audience into the moment and have them experience that moment with you. And the whole thing about reaching over, moving your hands, being normal, draws the viewer into the room, even if it is messy. Still, I think everybody's trying to reach past the two-dimensional feeling that the videos give. And we're using every fucking means we can to express that. Does that make sense? So I think that now I see this other thing where they can do augmented reality. So let's say you have the VR headset and you put it on your head. And instead of showing you an amazing landscape somewhere that's been filmed or created on a computer, it's just your living room. And when you look over, there's R2D2 and C3PO, and they're talking, because I saw this video where they got this thing they're going to do this with. And then R2D2 projects this thing on the table so you can... I would be fucking freaked out. If it was 1980 and you gave me this, I'd be like, no fucking way! I gotta show, fuck you! Fuck, boom! I'd hit the guy that gave it to me and run with the thing. Oh, fuck! Think about that. If you showed up with this kind of technology, people immediately would understand its value, or at least its entertainment value. Okay, so they showed this whole, and when the thing is, what it is it's the same crap as before with the dumb kids games, or you look at some sort of a symbol on a product you bought, or some weird symbol, and then bloop, things appear. I've even seen it where you can, when they were doing the landing of the rover on Mars, right? You could get that little printout thing, use a camera, and then boom, you could have the rover, and then you could drive the rover and try the rover out and see what kind of things it would do with your phone or whatever. That's goddamn amazing, man. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that I think we're all doing this, and we're all doing this at a subconscious level. And I see people partially consciously doing it and partially subconsciously doing it because we're mimicking things that we see, like my hand. Okay, we're mimicking things that we see. That's what I think, as an artist. That's what I feel is happening. And it's fascinating because remember that Andy Warhol in the 1960s said that everybody would get their 15 minutes of fame. Well, that's been more than proven. And now what comes after? What comes after when people realize how interconnected what is fame, if not notoriety amongst a large group of people? Well, what creates that notoriety? Interconnectivity. Okay? So I'm this morning. Yeah, this is how my brain works. I put all these ideas together. So I'm this morning, I'm watching Rob Chapman's video about his new Chappers guitar that they're putting out. Looks really cool. I'm designing one too. Look. Seriously. I get guitars on the brain. Something's wrong with my brain. I have to say, I have to confess, man, thank God I don't have the money to buy all the crap I see on the internet, or I would have a bunch of junk in my house, and oh my God, I'd have a million hobbies. There's just not enough time in life to go after all the things I find interesting. So anyway, I'm watching his video, and he's showing off his guitar, and I thought, you know what? I forgot I wanted to tell him this story, right? So I wrote him in the comments, and it's unrelated to the video, but I said, quick story, that we met a guy over in the thrift shop here, and we were drooling, googly-eyed, looking at different guitars and stuff. Do you want to buy one? No, man. We just want to stand here and be in their presence. That's really what we just want to do. Like a museum, we just want to, because we're learning about it, and this is a great resource to look at different guitars, and especially cheap guitars and beginner guitars, and see what they are. It's like rollerblades when you first do rollerblading. You want to learn what all the equipment this. Okay, let's take another hit while I'm telling the story. Okay, so we're talking to the guy, and of course he's talking to us like a salesman. Well, are you just playing? I'm not going to say anything to the guy because I'm just like, salesman, run away. I will see them coming, and I will use coat racks and shit to avoid them. They'll be coming at me like this, and I'll be like, it'll be, you have to chase me. They think I'm a thief. No, I just don't want to talk to you, man. If I'm here to buy something, that's what I'll do. If not, go away, okay? I used to sell things myself. Give people space. And that does a lot of selling sometimes. Let people touch things without you breathing down their shoulder. It's amazing how much more shit you probably sell. Okay, maybe stuff would get broken, but people wouldn't feel so freaked out. There's more kids trying guitars than maybe an aisle of Walmart all by themselves with the box all ripped open, sitting on a ledge somewhere, than there is little kids going into a guitar shop. That's very intimidating, especially with the salesperson. It's like going to a car lot. It's just, ugh. No, don't talk to me. No. Okay, so I'm over. I'm going to go look at the knives. I came in here, guitar, amps, pedals, knives, multi-tools, right? Because I have like certain things I want to look at. Sometimes I want to look at some of the gadgets and cameras and stuff, but mostly I'm not interested in that. Or tools or something. So anyway, I'm in there and I hear my husband, well, we're using Rocksmith. We've been playing Rocksmith for like over a year now. And I'm like, oh my God. Please don't tell him that. I'm so embarrassed. So my brother said, don't tell him that. Tell him you're self-taught, But luckily he knew what Rocksmith was, and he was like, oh no, that's a really good game. And I was like, the cool thing is it turns your guitar into a controller. So now your guitar is way more than just a guitar. Your guitar, you can be playing a fucking, here's what I would like. Can I have a guitar as the controller for, like, let's say Skyrim? And when I fight the dragon, can that be my Rulikin, attack or something? That would be really cool. And not have Jack Black in it and not have it be a sandbox. Everybody loves a good sandbox. Okay, so he's in there talking to this guy, and I'm like so embarrassed. So then I walk over, oh God, here we go. And he goes, well, Kurt goes, actually, we've been watching these guys on YouTube. And I said, yeah, Chapman Guitars, he sells guitar. And the guy immediately blurts out, he goes, yeah, I know the guy. I love those guys. And he goes, I bought my Black Star, which is this fucking sweet ass little amp. You can get 2 of them for like 99 bucks. You can get the combo amp and a speaker, and then have like, and they're like 99 bucks, and they're nice. They're this big, and they even have one with a nice British flag right on the front. Looks really cool. And he was like, yeah, I saw their review, and that got me to go buy it, and I've been really super happy with it. And then he started talking to us very differently. He started talking to us like, oh, wow, so you guys have been watching some stuff about guitars. And he started talking about, working with Rocksmith, and he talked about his experience, but he goes, you don't have to be, really good to become famous. And I'm not thinking about becoming famous, but he was just saying as an open thing to talk about, that there's lots of people that play guitars for different reasons. And it isn't like the best guitarist necessarily gets the record deal. And I've certainly seen that. I've seen lots of bands get played in this area, tons, where they end up paying for their shows, and they're investing everything in trying to get a record deal, and really what they're just getting sort of prostituted around from concert to concert. And they're thinking they're building it up and working to the top, when in fact they're just they're going to end up working in a job and cutting their hair and remembering these days and fondly, And I've seen that happen to bands. I've seen people get tricked into being like the band's manager, spending a bunch of money and then getting stuck with all the bills because they tricked them. You were never really the manager. Okay. So, here's Rob Chapman. We're talking about this. Totally changes the mood of the conversation. I'm writing Rob Chapman about this. He's selling me a guitar, right? He's obviously sold this guy a freaking amp from England because a guy saw a video, because they're able to make you feel welcome, and no matter what level you are, when you go in there, you're speaking to you about an amp or something, and they're still playing fucking badass fucking shreddy kind of shit, but you don't feel like, and now it's time for me to leave because I don't know what the hell's going on. You're, as a fan of music, ooh, wish I could do that. And then after a while watching, I realized I'm actually watching his hands. And then I started like going, I can figure out where he's putting his hands because I'm learning those stupid fucking scale things right through the game. And then I started to go, oh, I kind of get what they're doing. So the more I watched, and the more I watched their hands, and the more I listened to them talk, and the more listened to the sounds of the guitars and watch videos, the more I was in England in this room with them, and I was experiencing that guitar, and they are selling to me, and in a way that I can walk away from, and I can be there without having somebody up in my face. Can I help you? Can I help you? I'm poor. Go away. We can still help you with finance. So what are we doing? Consciously, subconsciously, we're selling each other. We're selling each other concepts and ideas in our lives and our experiences. Come join me on this journey kind of thing. Whether it's a product, a business, or a hobby, it's all the same. I'm showing you me playing this guitar in my bathroom in a crappy ass way, but I can see that, hey, this is this almost sounds like music. If I knew what I was doing. Especially there was a couple of chords there where I went, is that fucking really me? I mean, because things are starting to happen where I go, how did I manage that? And I've been practicing some combinations and stuff, but most of these things I've been doing is trying to do more improvisation. So I'm listening, I'm using my ears, and I'm listening, right? So that's what I'm trying to do with the videos, is I'm listening. I'm not just listening to people talk, what the words they're using, whether or not they think something's important, they're selling, or they're being honest. But I'm also listening to the actual sounds of the guitars and amps and trying to differentiate the difference before I'm deaf, and old, basically. And like I was saying, for me personally, I'm not doing the guitar thing because I want to be some kind of rock star in my own brain. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to be able to play, like, if my son gets married someday at his wedding. That'd be cool. I'd like to be able to play at a campfire in the dark. My family and friends are off hiking in the woods, getting high, and in the distance you can hear Kelly farting around on her guitar. And she's not too bad. Thank God she's not singing. I want that. I want to be that, plinky planky person that's not too aggravating with the guitar, but is there at the right moment to add that ambiance and that experience. And since I always wanted that, nobody else was willing to volunteer, and I was actually interested in learning. I just decided. Plus, I was experiencing arthritis. And my hands were starting to have pain in my fingers because I worked outdoors in the fog and stuff, and I began to experience pain throughout here. And I said, fuck that. I said, okay, what can I do? I'm going to take up the guitar. And I originally started to strengthen my hands and fight any sort of old age type things. And then I started to actually like it and think that I might actually learn how to play it. And then Rocksmith came along and I was like, holy fucking shit, you're kidding me. Because Rocksmith actually forces you to buy a real guitar. So then you're playing. So enough about that shit. The overall thing I was trying to come to with this whole story is that we are subconsciously moving beyond what the 15 minutes of fame thing. We got that. That's done. Done. Yeah. You're famous and you're famous. Everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame. Sometimes it's not positive. But nonetheless, chronicled in history in ways that we never could or have been before. Think about the rich history that people in the future get to look at about us idiots in the past and laugh at us and stuff. I got a book that's all like New York or Los Angeles Times covers or something like that. So you go through the whole book and it's like old Los Angeles Times, from the way back machine, and you read all this shit and it's like funny now. We're gonna be fucking hilarious. We got entire, videos, live chats. Think of all the immense information that we've given people in the future so they could analyze who we were and what our experiences were. It would be like being here. We fleshed it out for them. So I like this silent Bob thing. I like the videos where sometimes there isn't any talking. Sometimes it's just nice to see somebody do something, because it's weird how, as a human being, you experience that with them. You see them craft or do or make or experience something, and you're there with them in that moment. So I think sometimes that the blah, blah, blah gets in the way of that. And I like that kind of selling. It's a soft sell. I don't feel threatened by it. I can experience something and walk away. It's my fucking choice. It's not in my face, smacking me in the face. Sign up today. All right. So on that weird thought about sort of videos and making this kind of art and what it is, think about as your class assignment for this thought, right? Think about old advertisements when you had just a hand model or a foot model. How does a foot model experience that they're enjoying the sensation of whatever the fuck they're trying to sell to you? The toes wiggle? Yeah. Selling. This is selling. This is trying to grasp you as a viewer and bring you across through time and space and the glass wall into the Smallville or whatever experience that people are trying to create for you. Even if it's like a fun house of fun, it's a nice relaxing situation like a beach, or it's the terror of a battlefield. People are trying to capture you and your emotions in that experience. And it's selling. They're selling. It's all selling to some degree, And so once you're aware of it, I think you could do it, and I could do it better in the videos. And when we see other people do it, maybe not be so ready to allow the barbecue pit boys to make everything look so fucking delicious with their goddamn hands. So they're trying to kill me. All right, so I'm going to let you go with this interesting thought at the end on Friday, and see you on Monday. And I would say see all the live shows, but they are dwindling, aren't they? Oh yeah, and I did the math. This is a terrible thing to bring up at the end, but I did the math, and I'm never going to make it to 420 shows by November 4th. So I figure maybe sometime after November 4th, maybe in January, I might hit 420. So hopefully maybe close to the actual time when we do get to ingest marijuana legally in California, not just the vote. So maybe that's a good goal. Not to just end it right there at the vote. I definitely want a live show then. I definitely want some kind of a live show then. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like picking off you always get the gross mouth things on your pipe you have to clean up. Anyway, I definitely was thinking a live show, so that's just a heads up on what I'm considering doing. I think it seems like many of the walls have collapsed, so that everything's getting so much easier that I don't have to do 5 stories and bat away 3 different studies that are bullshit, and some statements from Project Sam and a million other things that kept cropping up, and I was like, ting ting, ting ting ting. Look at this, look at this, look at this, ting ting. I was definitely curating stories for sure for on the side of legalization, even sometimes foolhardily. I will admit that, but it was combat. It's combat. We're winning. Sorry. There'll be blowback though. Everybody's right. It's just like I was saying with the other minorities, the more gains you make, the more you piss off the really fanatical people, and then they start really warping out and attacking you. Hey, make it all better with bullets. You know, you know, it's just kind of a thing that happens. It's horrible. And if we could take the bullets and the guns away from not the good people, and there's tons of good people out there, but the psychopaths, that would be awesome. I think that we could all go out in public and not worry so much about that. Here's what I think. Okay, we're still going to have to battle them in different ways, and some of their attacks will get worse. But the point is, what are you dealing with? You're not dealing with armies fucking attacking your country. You're dealing with lone wolf actors or people that are part of an underground group that's hiding away. This, terrorists. It's not an army. They're not coming to take your town, bombard your cities, fly planes over you, and drop bombs. Maybe they could hit your targets, but they've really got to keep rolling the dice to win. It's, in the long run, not a winning strategy. It's just an annoyance. Eventually, society will inoculate itself from rogue attacks. It's going to happen, And if it doesn't, I don't even think it's going to matter. People will eventually just get used to it. I think people would even get bored in hell. They'd wake up in the morning, some devil stabbing them in the ass. They'd be like, yeah, this again. Same old, same old. How are you today, Bill? I'm fine. Yeah. Oh, my demons really drive me crazy. We get bored. We get bored with even the most horrific situations. Sometimes we just get, I don't know, inoculated to it, to the horrors. And then we're walking around, and a little deranged. It's true, but, you just get that vacant stare like, oh, I don't care anymore. I think all these people in office buildings, I won't give you this last nasty hit. That was tasty. All right. So I will let you go. I'm babbling too much. It's a very creative morning for me. I have lots of thoughts running around. I'll take another hit of my wax pen, which I filled before the show. Hey, look at me, Kelly the hypocrite, who said I was not going to babysit a battery. Hey, look at me. Damn it. Sometimes you have to pull me kicking and screaming into the future. Jumbo. All right, so I'm going to try to get out today. Maybe do some thrift store shopping if I can talk my husband into it. Because sometimes just wandering around, see my house? It's stressful sometimes because it's crowded, but actually the clutter makes me feel better. It's when things are too stark white. Nana's house is a really good example. starts making me fucking on edge. Seriously. I don't like churches. I don't like classrooms. I don't like hospitals. I just don't like everything is a corridor. It's a box. And I'm not saying this because I heard something on a video. I did hear something History Channel had about this. But I've been feeling this way since the 80s, that anybody notice that kids are planted like heads of cabbage in their desks, facing forward with a farmer with a pitchfork? We're going to grow some good crop this year. You know, you're not an individual. You can feel it. Shh, be quiet. Don't make noise. The others are trying to work. Don't be an individual. Don't speak up. Here, raise your hand. Be an individual when I allow you. Raise your hand to go to the bathroom. I hate that regimented shit. That is not what real life is like. And then they go, we're preparing you for the future. My future was never anything like what the fuck they put me through in school. Never did I go to lunch and stand in a line and get a tray and pick out things. It was a mad dash to a fucking fast food restaurant and in line, yeah, take 2 tacos and a Coke. Oh shit, I gotta get fucking back to work. What the fuck is that got to do with the kind, I mean, you know, I could go on. So I don't dig that. Everything's a line, and Disneyland, I think, is the best example of how they try to mitigate the stress of dealing with crowds. They cut the crowds up with parades. You're being surveilled, but you're not aware of that. You know, you're perfectly safe in this park for the most part, unless there's alligators. You know, and Disney was warned about that. There's this song called Last Point. Okay, I did want to bring this up. There's this song called The Last Chant by Jim Stafford. And he sings about how Disney wants to bring in this big, huge amusement park into the swamp. And how they were going to do all this, and they did. And so there was a lot of controversy when Disney first proposed this. And he was just reflecting the sort of ecology concerns at the time. But there's lines in it like, sometimes I wonder what you'd do if the swamp, creeped in on you. Like we creeped in on the swamp and kicked all the swamp creatures out and stuff, and now we're pissed that Disney built a theme park on top of their land and they're showing back up and they ate a kid. And we're like, what? You built an amusement park where there are dinosaurs and you didn't think something would happen. So Disney's fine. Disney was warned about this. Disney will learn from that mistake and everything should be okay. But I think they should have realized if they created a huge body of water somewhere in Florida, maybe at some point there would be alligators. People have found them in their pools. It's the land of dinosaurs. You just have to be aware of that, So I just think sometimes that Disney's great about mitigating the stress of even not being aware that there's dinosaurs in danger in the water. But usually Disney is much better. I see I'm kind of totally defeating my argument with the last event that happened. There's been a couple other accidents too. But Disney's usually really good about keeping everything coordinated and rehearsed and played out and stuff. So you're enjoying the majority of your day. And if something is happening, you're not aware of it. A Jesus could arrive there and most of the park would not be aware of it. They'd be on a ride. Whee! Wouldn't be like, oh my God, did you hear what? There'd be a parade dividing everybody in half, a group of guys moving into an area that's been cleared out of people and sweeping. Remember the sounds of those if you've ever been there. You drop those trash can things and you sweep stuff up. Pick up trash real quick when people leave. You hear it all the times around where the people are eating and stuff. So I think that would make me far more comfortable. I know that there's a system, but at least it's pretty and it has curvy edges and it feels natural instead of this boxy existence that's kind of cardboard that we keep creating for ourselves. So I'm not just saying that because there was actually a really interesting video from History Channel about how this guy from Mountain Men or something said the same thing. But it's been said before also in there's a movie called The Gods Must Be Crazy. The very beginning of the movie is, that our world is very complicated, and because of that, we have to sentence our children for like 6 to 12 years in school in order to learn just how to survive. And most people wake up in the morning, they get in their cars, they race to work, and at 8 o'clock, that means everybody looked busy. And it was like, yeah, and then it was like, no wonder so many people go crazy. And then it's sort of the whole movie's if you of course haven't seen it, is a juxtaposition between the people in a very simple village without many of the things that we have and the things that we fight over, and the complicated world, and how they're completely different, and how basically the villagers think that modern man is nuts, and we are nuts, you know. So I think all these kind of experiences we create for ourselves are, ugh. If we're going to do VR and we're going to do all this augmented stuff, I would like it to create a natural feeling instead of, and a guided feeling rather than a forced feeling. And I think, to get back to my point about the silent films where people are just doing things and you're watching, there's something very meditative about watching somebody woodwork, or somebody nap arrowhead, or somebody walking in the woods, without music. It's really, with good sound, you're just there. It's very meditative. It could take you right out of your office building and onto that beach. And I think that's just something we're all learning to play with now. And we're all selling. And I think it's important we pay attention to what we're selling, maybe not sell bad things to each other, and enjoy this, but be present in it and see that it's happening. Because I think it's happening to us. I feel it. Where in the fuck in junior high school or high school was I ever going to have the courage to come on camera and show my house and talk about weed, smoke pot, and boy, it's amazing what the internet has taught me. And it's a collective experiencing. And I think that physically doing things and quiet and stuff, it should be part of our shows and part of our thought processes and how we present ourselves, and invite our audience into that experience. And be aware that we're doing this instead of sort of haphazardly guessing at what we're trying to experience. I can see a lot of people thinking about cameras and, whether they're outdoors or whether they're sitting in the usual, I'm sitting at my computer frame or whatever, they're thinking about lighting and stuff like that. But it's also your presence and how you invite people to come in as though they were friends or someone at your door. Please come in, and throwing the pick, and the barbecue pit boys using their hands, and the primitive skills guy quietly building in the woods, and Rob Chapman playing guitar and showing off an amp or a guitar. All of these things are inviting us into that moment. See, a shared moment, whether it's something that happened right then and you shared it together, or it happened years ago and you're viewing it, like some old Charlie Chaplin movie. That shit's happening and you're just an outward viewer. What if Charlie Chaplin was like, hey, how are you guys doing today? That carries forever. Audiences way beyond people that were alive at that time will be able to go, I'm doing all right, because it's still so interactive. Okay, and I'm saying with the VR and augmented reality, where grandma could be sitting on your couch and you talk to her in some sort of augmented reality, and you see the children play. Oh, they look wonderful. Yes, oh, he's learning to walk. Oh, he said, I saw that. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's going to get really fucking creepy. People do not have to be in the same place to experience those communal experiences. That was a big thought, artistic thought. I tried to drag out of my muddled little head. I hope it made sense. All right. So you stay high and goodbye and enjoy your weekend and think about the art that you're doing on YouTube. I certainly do. Not maybe the lighting and the camera, but I think about trying to talk to my audience like, hey, how you doing? How's it going? How's your day? But it's really weird because you're a camera. And I know there's a lot of you out there, and I've always thought maybe we should just do the thing, and I don't have anything to show you the experience, but Romper Room used to do this thing where the chick had a mirror that she busted out the mirror and it was just a hoop, and she'd look through it and she'd go, I see Johnny and Debbie and Sarah, there you are. When I was a kid, I was like, fucking say my name, bitch. That's why I don't do that. Because I was the kid going, this bitch never says my name. Okay, so, but I love that experience where she's like, I see you. And I know you're here with me. That, as a kid, I was just like, she knows I'm here. This could have been filmed 2 years ago, but me and her, we're having this moment. I think that we do that on YouTube. I think it's art. I think it's important. And lots of people who never thought of themselves as artists before are learning to do it and do it better. And it's brand new. This is all brand new. I know damn fucking well it is. I mean, what do you think that guy Andy Warhol really would have said about all this if he saw how 15 Minutes of Fame turned out? He'd be like, holy fuck! He'd be a little taken back. I think he would be surprised. I think he would not be surprised, but he would be surprised. And then he would make commentary on how shallow our entire society is, and he'd be right to do it. But I think he'd be surprised. Okay, so I'm going to put this up. That's too much talking. It's 55 minutes. I'll let you go. Adios.